Well, Turkish political affairs analyst Cenk Karatas joins me now with more on what's at stake with this year's mayoral election. We heard there Yildirim, the AK Party candidate, say that they didn't want this rerun either. He said that this could have been avoided if the opposition CHP had agreed to a full recount of the first vote. Why didn't that happen, in your opinion?
That's actually not very true that they didn't ask for this re-election. They did ask for this re-election. The governing AK Party had difficulty in accepting the result with such small margin that they lost on March 31st because it was kind of like a given win for them. Everybody was expecting for them to win. That's why even though Mr. Yildirim is a strongman of President Erdogan, he did not campaign that hard on the way to March 31st. It was actually Erdogan himself putting him forward in terms of campaigning and convincing the voters. It was kind of seen as in the pocket, as we may say, Istanbul for Erdogan, because Erdogan's hometown is Istanbul.
So this was a loss for Erdogan. I read one article that said the only thing worse for Erdogan than losing Istanbul once would be losing it twice. So what does this vote, this rerun, mean for Erdogan?
Exactly. I was here a couple of months ago with John, and what I said was that this was a major mistake on Erdogan's part to call for a re-election. Because if and when he loses tomorrow, and polls suggest that that will be the case at this point of time, it will be a double defeat for Erdogan. I'm not saying that it's going to have some grave results for the political climate of Turkey, but if you see Turkey as a big ship, it will certainly divert its route from one certain point to some other one.
Our colleague Michal Bardavi there in Istanbul reporting expectations for a high turnout on Sunday. Who benefits from that?
Under normal circumstances, the governing AKP would have benefit from that, but the problem is this. After the first election on March 31st, the opposition candidate, İmamoğlu, is definitely going to start tomorrow with whatever he had from earlier election. So there is this...
His voters will turn out.
Exactly, that's a given. But unfortunately, there is a hurting feeling in people's conscience as for the reason for this re-election. AKP couldn't convince his own voters, their own voters, that this was a stolen election so that it had to be redone. That is why tomorrow, the first task for Yildirim, Erdogan's candidate, is to make sure his own voters is going to turn up and then ask for others to vote for him, which is not a very easy task.
And you'll be joining us in about 24 hours again after this vote. So I need to ask you now, and I'll ask you then.
Okay.
What are your predictions?
Okay. I don't have any crystal ball, but I have ears and eyes and I read. So what we have on hand right now are some credible reports from pollsters in Turkey. And not one single poll suggests at this point of time that Erdogan's candidate is going to win tomorrow. Some of the credible poll results even suggest that there's going to be a big margin of maybe 7, 8, even 9% in the favor of the opposition candidate. So even though I was myself expecting a win for the opposition candidate, I never thought it would be 9%. So if it's going to be 9%, there's going to be some other consequences.
We've learned one thing covering elections in Washington: don't always trust the polls.
That is correct, yes.
Cenk, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on Sunday.
Yep.